Hi, I'm Natalie McNeil, and you are watching She Takes on the World TV, your weekly dose of soaring inspiration and practical advice to turn your small business into something big. This week, we have a very special guest in the studio, my dear friend, Nikki Elledge Brown. Nikki's known online as the Communication Stylist, and she's the creator of a course about copy. She's a proud military spouse, mom, former park ranger, and college professor who's built a business around helping entrepreneurs communicate with clarity and confidence. Nikki and I have joined forces to create a 3-part Master Your Message series. It's all about helping you craft and share your story so that you can attract more of the right clients, customers, and opportunities with your copy. For this series, we had entrepreneurs submit their copy and websites to be audited by us. And through these audits, we know that you too are going to get some juicy nuggets of wisdom that you can apply when working on your own copy. First up, we're diving into About Pages. But first, Nikki, why is the About page so important?
It's important because in essence, it's your first impression. Because if somebody comes to your website, maybe they'll go to your homepage or maybe a blog post. And then the natural next step for them to click or next click would be About page. And in reality, a lot of us tend to think, well, the About page needs to be about me. It's where I put my favorite color or my deepest, darkest secrets and fears and whatever. And in reality, that's not what it's about. When people click to your About page, they want to find out, why should I stick around? Why should I click around? What's in it for me? How can you help me? And that's why it's important to make a really great impression and showcase the best of who you really are on that page.
Let's pull up our first About page that we're gonna take a look at, and we'll do a little bit of auditing.
Deal.
First up, we are gonna look at Yasmin Qatar's page, and her concern was connecting through stories. So what kind of stories are best to share, and how much information is too much information?
Yeah, and this is something that's a really common concern with a lot of folks. When I used to work one-on-one, this is something people were like, is this too personal? Should I really share it? And so Yasmin in particular was asking about a story that she shares about her dad further down the page. And so what I would suggest to keep in mind, there are two things when you're considering TMI. So there's straight up too much information, as in the quantity, like whoa, overwhelm. You know, it's like first date, the person will not stop talking and it just kind of, you just tune out, right? And so you gotta keep that in mind with your About page too. You don't wanna just throw your entire life story onto your About page because again, people are just coming and they're clicking and there's kids running around or there's a million other tabs open, literally and figuratively. You wanna make sure that it's scannable and easy to digest on the first take. So the tip I have when you are worried about having too much information or too many stories is to layer your stories and to link to them. So you could tell some of your stories, if it feels like a little too much in quantity, tell them on other pages, whether it's in a blog post or whether it's on a page that's not necessarily linked through your navigation, but it's still there. That way, whenever people come back, because people will come back second or third time, they'll be like, what was that thing she said about her dad? Or, you know, she started her business 10 years ago, and then they want to learn more, then it's there. They can see it through a link, they can click to it. So it's there for the folks who are looking for it, and it's not overwhelming to the folks who aren't looking for it and would be totally turned off by that much text. The second piece of TMI is where it's just straight up too personal and it's just too much too soon. And you don't necessarily want to scare people away. And that's not to say that you can't use stories to connect. It's hugely important to use stories to connect and make you stand apart. But I would suggest what I call the TMI test. And so the TMI test, you would ask 2 questions. Number 1, does it add value in some way? And that can be, it's just entertaining, it's straight up funny, or maybe it's just gonna showcase that you've been in their shoes, you know, it's some kind of story that they can connect to. If it adds value, that's great. And then the second question in the TMI test is, are you really comfortable sharing it? I mean, what if your About page shot to the, you know, page 1 of Google News or something like that? You know, would you really be comfortable sharing it? So those are the questions that I would keep in mind when you're trying to decide if a story is relevant for the About page or not.
Awesome. Next up is Suzanne Parazzini's site, strandsofmylife.com. Suzanne's concern was that it was a little boring and awkward and stiff. So what tips do you have for Suzanne?
Yes, and thank you, Suzanne, for saying that, because this is another question that I hear all the time when it comes to About pages or really just copy in general, because people are worried like, is this boring people? How can I make people want to stick around? And so the biggest piece of advice I would have for this one is to flip it around and to remember that the most interesting people are also the most interested people. And so when you think about writing your about page, again, like I mentioned earlier, it's not really about you. I mean, to a degree it is, but I like to save the fun stuff that's really personal to you to later. I call it a content mullet. So it's like you handle the business up top and then you party down below, and that's where you share the stuff about you. Up at the top, you really want to make it about your reader, your customer, or your client. And so how you have, and obviously this is a very sensitive topic and it's a health issue. It's a very personal issue that a lot of people deal with. And so instead of making it your story, help them see their story through your perspective, if that makes sense. So making it about them is going to be a really great way to get people interested, because that's just kind of human nature, right? Like, it's me. Tell me, how does this relate to me? And nowhere is that more important than on the about page, even though that might seem a little counterintuitive.
Great tip. And next we have Yvonne Morrison's Business Boutique. Yvonne's concern was whether or not people would want to work with her and how to get people to want to work with you through your about page.
Right, which is also, again, hugely important because we're in business, so we want people to want to work with us. And when you do your job right on your about page, that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to build up the case of letting people know that you understand what they're going through, that you have a solution, whether it's your product or your service. So I loved this question from Yvonne because it gives us the opportunity to talk about something really important on any page, not just your about page, which is a clear call to action. Because if you want people to do something, you need to tell them. Again, we have a squillion things going on at one time, and so it's just make it easy for people. And there's that saying out there that a confused mind always says no. And if it's not clear where you want people to go next, then they won't. They will bounce. And so one thing I would suggest just to tweak, because I see how she's got this link down here, here's how we can work together. I would be even more direct and make it even more obvious. Click here to find out more about how we can work together. Even just the language of that, instead of just presenting it like a platter, it's like, no, take this, click here. This is where you wanna go next. Or again, maybe highlighting the benefit of what they're gonna get when they click to learn more. Something like that, using the benefit of what they could get whenever they do work with you, if that makes sense.
A confused mind always says no.
Yes, make it easy. Make it easy. This is your digital home. You are the host, so make sure that people know this is the bathroom, not the linen closet or whatever it is, like make it really obvious where you want them to go.
As always on She Takes on the World TV, we've got an actionable for you. And this week's actionable is gonna come straight to you from Nikki.
Okay, yes, and again, college professor, I am a little obsessed with homework. So we're gonna keep it really simple, and your homework this week is to look at your own about page, take the TMI test. If you have stories on there, just ask yourself those two questions. Do they add value? And are you really comfortable sharing them? And then also just keep it simple again, and make sure you have a very clear call to action. Make sure you let people know exactly where you want them to head next. Easy peasy. And for bonus points, if you want to, share your about page in the comments below.
Thank you so much for watching, and if you loved this video, we would love for you to share it on social media and make sure you've become a subscriber at shetakesontheworld.com so that you can catch the next episode with Nikki Elledge Brown. I'll see you next time on She Takes on the World TV. I hope you liked the episode of She Takes on the World TV you just watched, and if you did, I would love to invite you to take my free 14-day Conquer course to turn your small business into something big. Come on over to shetakesontheworld.com/conquer course to sign up.